What's good, y'all? Today we're gonna do some more weird, crazy TikToks. I like doing these, man. I really do. I like to get myself into learning stuff and finding out things that I didn't know. So, crazy TikToks is what I do. So, if y'all would hit that like, hit that sub, man. It takes my channel a long ways. Let's get it.
This Polish woman is claiming to be the missing Madeleine McCann, but did you know there's age progression photos done of Madeleine that could help us know what she would look like today? In 2007, Madeleine was taken from her family's bedroom while they were on vacation in Portugal. And immediately the parents came under fire because they did leave the kids asleep in the apartment by themselves while they went to dinner with friends. This is the official age progressed photo of Madeleine to age 9, and this is the woman who's now claiming that she is Madeleine. And this woman does have some of Madeleine's signature features. Here you can see a black speck that looks like a pupil in Madeleine's eye, which is something they both share. She's also claiming that she has a lot of missing memories from childhood, but the eye speck does seem to be her most convincing argument. But German prosecutors actually believe that Madeleine is no longer alive. And two people believe they saw this man carrying a small girl towards the beach around the time that Madeleine's parents first noticed that she was missing. But that being said, it's not completely impossible that she would be alive today.
Alright, so somebody seen a man carrying a small child down somewhere but didn't do nothing or say nothing or try to help her. People are cowards. That's crazy.
Let's talk about this picture. It centers around Mr. and Mrs. Dubois. They were some of the town of Hackenschill's favorite neighbors, but they had a dark side to them. But first, we're gonna enjoy some pizza. This is like my favorite pizza. It's from Marco's Pizza. Reminds me of Jersey because I'm from Jersey. You see, they were kind to everyone, even invited people who just moved into town for dinners. They would also have the best decorations for holidays as well. Their house would always win the contest for best decorated in the town. People just loved their Christmas lights and their Halloween decorations. In the beginning of October 1876, they started throwing parties for the kids. All the kids from around the town would come, even from outside the town. It was fun. They played games, they ate candy, and everyone just had a good time. But out of the 20 kids that came over that night, about 4 went missing. And after about 3 weeks of searching, the case went slow and they gave up. Halloween finally came around, and the contest for the best decorations, of course, went to the Dubois. That night while trick-or-treating, one of the boys in town named Sam went up to one of the decorations. When he grabbed the mask off, he realized it was one of the children who went missing. The child was stuffed and put on display in front of the yard as a decoration. The Dubois, who saw this and not wanting to get caught, grabbed the little kid inside, adding him to their collection. No one suspected a thing because the Dubois was so kind and nice to everyone. It wasn't until years later on their deathbed that they admitted at throwing parties every year to steal a child or 3 and told police that they could find all the missing children in their basement. The reason they did it was because they needed decorations realistic enough so they could always win those contests.
Why?
That's crazy. That is a crazy story. Man, I feel sorry for those kids and those kids' parents. But man, there's people out there that are evil and crazy and stupid. But who else eats their pizza like that? Me.
Why is everyone talking about this woman? It's this woman, 59-year-old Debbie Collier, who was a mother and office manager who was found charred alive in the northeast of Georgia. But while I'm sitting here and I'm, researching this case, it's
Charred
even
alive,
stranger than I thought
burnt
it was.
alive.
Something is deeply off with this story. So here's what we know. September 10th, she is reported missing, and the following day, her van is found, but she's not inside. So the daughter comes forward. She says that, her mom doesn't have any history of mental illness. She wouldn't be trying to hurt herself. So what happened here? Well, later that day, after the van was found, they go deeper into the woods where Debbie is found on a tarp, described as burned alive. This was a tarp she bought herself at the Dollar Tree, shortly before she was found. Stranger than that, her daughter comes forward and says before she was found, her mom Venmo'd her $2,385, along with this cryptic message. Does that not seem like an oddly specific amount, though?
Most terrifying.
Yeah, that's crazy. I don't know what to think about that. I mean, that woman looked crazy, but I don't know, looks are deceiving.
Demonic activity ever caught on camera.
Bobby, is that you? Bobby. I get it. I get it, man. You're just gonna stare at each other for what? You got me. I don't know what the fuck their problem is. I'm gonna keep doing this shit. I'm just gonna stare at them then. Fuck it, right? What the fuck, man? on, get out. Come on. Go. No, just go to your room. It's fine. All right. Yeah. I know, Disney. You got me. Jim, you got me. You got me, man. You got... Okay, it's good. And just stay in your room.
The oldest traceable body on Mount Everest is considered.
Hell no, I don't know if that was real or not. It seemed like it was played off. 'Cause first time he looked out the door, he never looked to the right or the left to see if anybody was hiding or see if anybody was running. But yeah, I don't know about that one.
Considered to be that of George Mallory, an English mountaineer who was part of the first British expeditions up the mountain in the early 1920s. He and his hiking partner Andrew Irvine were last seen about 800 feet from the summit before disappearing. In 1999, an expedition up the mountain sought to find Mallory, and they did, well preserved too. Injuries sustained on his body and circumstantial evidence give some idea as to what happened to him, namely that he slipped, fell, and conked himself in the forehead with his own ice axe. Ugh. We still don't know if Mallory and Irvine reached the summit before their fatal accident, but some in the field believe that Mallory did. They also think he left a photo of his wife at the summit because it wasn't on his body when it was found, and he always carried it. We don't know much about Irvine because his body is still unlocated. And on an eerie note, Mallory and Irvine had a camera with them to record the historic event, which, if ever found, would likely give us some fascinating insight into their journey.
He probably killed him.
These are serial killers that got caught for being idiots. And yes, this is a series, so make sure you follow along. This is David Berkowitz, also known as the Son of Sam. He's best known for being the serial unaliver who believed that his neighbor's dog was telling him to commit the crimes. And he was really hard to catch. His attacks felt random and lacked pattern, other than the fact that a lot of his victims were women with long brown hair. But the thing that did this man in was that he parked illegally while committing one of the crimes. Cecilia Davis was out walking her dog one night when she saw a car being ticketed. And then out of nowhere, she sees this figure come towards her with what looks like a gun in his hand. She freaks out and runs away, but hears 2 gunshots get fired behind her. The next day, she learns that 2 people, Stacy Moskowitz and Robert Violante, had been shot in that area. So she calls the police and tells them everything she saw that night. The man with the gun, hearing the gunshots, and seeing the car with the ticket. And the cops did a real quick search through their database and found that the car had been registered to Berkowitz, who was already on their radar. And the second they went to question him about it, he confessed to everything.
Wow. I'm glad they called him.
Erica's family
Crazy.
told her they were going on vacation in Lake Tahoe, when in reality they were dropping her off at a troubled teen wilderness program that she would not survive. Erica Harvey was just 15 years old when she was dropped off at the Catherine Freer Wilderness Program. The program promised Erica's family that they could get her off drugs, but the staff were not trained very well. The first day that she was there, the kids all went on a really long hike, and Erica started showing symptoms of dehydration. Erica was also on antipsychotic medication, which was something the staff did not have any experience with. So when she started speaking gibberish and her eyes rolled into the back of her head, they thought she was being dramatic. And when she fell over backwards into a ravine, they completely ignored her. Finally, after an hour, they went to go check on her, but Erica didn't have a pulse. The staff called a medical helicopter, but they didn't know where they were, so they gave them the wrong coordinates. By the time Erica saw a doctor, it was 5 hours later, and she didn't have a chance. And programs like Erica's still exist today, trapping kids like prisoners because they're minors and can't sign themselves out. This week I interview a survivor who was gone for 3.5 years in the troubled teen industry because she was 14 years old when she was taken.
Yeah, that place needs to be shut down. That's crazy, man. People need to be more trained. That's sick. That's crazy. Poor little girl.
On the evening of September 10th, 2002, 31-year-old Miroslav Kuklish was entering an underwater cave off the coast of Croatia, trying to catch up with his 4 dive buddies. He had entered the water about 10 minutes after them because while they were on the surface, the 4 had explained to him that they were going to check out this underwater cave. But Miroslav had told them he wanted nothing to do with this cave. He was just going to go on an open water night dive. So they said okay, and they went without him. Unbeknownst to Miroslav, as soon as the 4 had entered this 2-meter wide hole in the bottom of the ocean, they had immediately recognized it was well beyond their skill level, and they had turned around and gotten right out of there. Unbeknownst to them, though, Miroslav had made the exact opposite decision, and as soon as he got in the water, he went right down to the cave entrance and barreled down after him, and I mean, he really went for it. Now, the way that this cave is set up is there's a 15-meter deep chute, which leads to 2 different passageways, which lead to 2 different underwater caverns, the shallower one, or the upper gallery, and the deeper one, the lower gallery. The bottom of the lower gallery is about 54 meters or 180 feet deep. Okay, so what Miroslav does is he dives down this 15-meter corridor. Now, bear in mind, the walls are super narrow in these corridors, and you're kicking up silt the whole time, so you can't see anything. And where the 3 meet, it's almost impossible to tell which is which, because again, you can't see, and unless you know this cave like the back of your hand, I mean, being underwater is really disorienting. You don't know if you're going to the deep one, the shallow one, or up to the exit. It's kind of just a guess if you don't really know the cave. So he goes immediately down, and he goes immediately into the deep gallery. He makes it all the way down to 165 feet before he realizes he needs to turn around and get out of there. So he makes his ascent back up, and he makes his way back up to where the 3 separate again. And he needs to find the exit. But instead of finding the exit, he goes into the shallow gallery. And now he is running out of air, and he really needs to find the exit. So he goes back up to where they all 3 separate, and he's doing this probably mostly by feel now, because again, with the silt, you can't see. So he has a 50-50 shot, but instead of picking the exit, he picks the way he just came from, and he goes back down into the deep gallery. And at this point, we know when he hits the deep gallery again, he runs out of air. And he finds that shallow air pocket at the top of the deep gallery, but he's only got a few minutes of air in that little pocket, and he knows that. We know he was there for 5 minutes from his dive computer before he ultimately decides that instead of drowning, he's going to take his dive knife and end things his way. So he takes out his dive knife, and he drives it 11 centimeters all the way to the hilt into the left side of his chest. Unfortunately, he would still drown a few minutes after this. We know this from the autopsy report. A police diver would also drown trying to recover his body.
Yeah, that's crazy, man. I don't know about that story, man. That's freaky. I wouldn't want to drown. That's one of my fears is drowning. But yeah, that was one of the freakiest stories. I didn't know if I was gonna get through it. It was had me. I can't do it. Anyway, man, if y'all like these, man, hit that like, hit the sub, man. It takes my channel a long ways, man. Till next time, y'all. Peace.